cloud. There we go.
Nice.
All right. We're ready.
Okay. Today we're going to talk about out of body and near death experiences. People like to talk about death, especially older people. Death makes us question, death makes us cry. Experiences that we have had with death haunt some of us, and the nearness of death worries others. And death can just shake our world upside down as it takes loved ones away. Death can actually make us stand still and contemplate what is the reason for our being and the circumstances we face in life. For me as a nurse, I know that nothing is more painful for people than the loss of someone they love. So I figure everyone wants to go home from class today with something. Although death has been around just about as long as life has, less is well known by the general public about the process of dying. And today I hope to change that for you. You will learn that death is not the end of life. We are not primarily a body that happens to have a mind and a spirit. We are indeed a spirit animating for a time on this earth, a body that has a mind, and I always say, of its own.
Wait a minute. Could you just wait a minute?
Sure.
Because I don't see your slides on my screen, and so something.
Do other people?
Do other people
I
see
see
this?
them, but not scrolling or not, it's not full view. So I can see the very top of your second slide
Oh.
only.
Oh,
So
here's
I
the
guess,
full slide.
do you have a full view somehow?
Let
Let me go back. Maureen, do you have any suggestions?
Maureen's the suggestion person.
Right. She's the guru of
No, I'm really not, but maybe start again, Susan, because you can get rid of some of that other stuff above where it says mail.google.com and where you have your
and I'm not seeing
slideshow.
that, but let me go to the end and start over. We'll see if I can. Thank you. Okay, now I'm at the beginning and I'm going to slideshow from the beginning.
But we don't
Wait,
have it.
Where is
Still not
that,
moving.
Susan? Where
You
does it say that slideshow from the top left? And it's not there.
I have an arrow that says from the beginning.
Okay, go for it. See what happens.
Go for it.
Right.
Then I see a big screen of the first slide,
She sees it. Okay, so let
but
me.
you do not. So
Right.
maybe we should have you control them.
Well, because I can't do anything. I can't even get them on the screen now. Before I could when I was the one, but right now.
Let me go off of them.
Unless you
Ta-da.
send her, Susan, you could send her the slideshow.
I have it.
I did. I did send it to her.
Oh,
Yeah.
I do have the slideshow. That's what I'm saying, but because she changed it to multiple presentations, she has control. So
undo that then and start from the beginning with maybe you just
With
doing
you having control. Okay.
that's what I'm trying to do. Okay,
Sounds good. We'll
Yeah.
get there.
it, I guess.
so
When in doubt, start again. Is that the way it goes?
yeah,
I don't know. I always feel better if Maureen's here because she knows multiple ways of getting started.
I know. This is when you can tell we're an old group.
That's right. We need a 12-year-old. Where are they when we need them?
Right. Where is that great grandchild?
I have it on my screen. See, now why is she coming up on my
Well,
screen?
Leslie, undo her as the as a co-host.
She's not a co-host. I don't have her as a co-host.
What do you have her as?
She's just on the screen. I've never done that. Under share, I have her as a multiple
Well,
participant.
then maybe that's the problem, the multiple thing.
Okay. Let me just see.
Just a guess.
Okay,
Mhm.
hang on.
Doesn't she have to be a co-host to share her screen?
She does, but somehow Leslie made
I make her a
multiple
co-host.
co-hosts.
She's not a co-host though. Susan's not a co-host.
Okay, let me make her co-host and see. Maybe that'll be it. Make co-host. Okay. All right. Now I made her co-host
Now have her go to screen sharing and share her screen.
and go to screen
But
sharing.
it's still up.
She has to go.
Actually, this is Leslie's screen is sharing.
Right.
See, Leslie's
We need
name
to
is
share
on
Susan.
top.
Okay, I changed it to Susan. You want to try again?
Sure.
See,
But
if
it's
not,
still
you have-
Leslie.
Can
Leslie,
you see my screen now?
it's
No,
still
we see Leslie's screen.
yes.
Ah,
at the very top, Leslie's screen.
Right.
see, I don't see Leslie's screen for mine.
But Susan, you need to go down to the bottom where it says share, click on share and
Mhm.
share your screen.
I'm down in the bottom.
Where it says share.
Yeah, usually I can see that little green share button. Let me go
Right.
back.
I think you got to start from the beginning because
From the beginning. I'll go back. Yeah.
let everybody stop sharing. I think you ought to, everybody, whoever is sharing, which in this case, this looks like Leslie, stop sharing, Leslie.
Right.
It might be a green one.
You have to scroll over it to make it show up.
I am not seeing a.
Susan, there's nobody sharing right now.
Let me
Okay,
ask,
good.
Is
do you see that? What's on the screen now?
we
No,
only
I
see
see.
all the people.
We,
We don't
yeah,
all-
we see who's talking.
You only are seeing who's talking. Okay.
Susan needs to go to
if-
share screen
can
and
you-
share her screen.
Can you make Susan the co-host?
Yeah, because I don't have the little share
I
button.
did.
That's
Made her the co-host.
Do you have something at the bottom that says share your screen or something, Susan?
no, usually I do if I'm sharing it. Yeah.
Susan, scroll across the area where you usually see it and it might show up because mine doesn't show up.
Yeah,
Unless I'm-
sometimes I'm doing that now because sometimes it doesn't until you're really sharing.
Or you're on it.
Let me just take these up. There we go. Share screen.
Okay. There you go.
Oh,
There we go.
And now you double click
We're
it.
okay. And now we got pictures of you too.
well,
Uh-huh.
And Nancy looks more comfortable.
Yes. Yeah, I will rest during this period, but I'm
Thank
wide
you,
awake.
Maureen, and all. Good.
so now,
Okay, so
so now
spirit.
we go, from the beginning.
Well, and I hope I don't get rid of it. Okay,
Oh, that won't, no, from the beginning.
That is.
there we go.
There
There
you
we
go.
go.
There you go. Now it's
There
the
you go.
full
Just
screen.
may miss some stuff on the right side, but I'll speak it to you. Don't worry. Okay, so we've established we're not just a body, and I learned it very young, and I'll go into that. So today, what we're going to talk about is, first of all, the out-of-body experience, just to get you partially into what a near-death experience is. And then we will talk about what people say happens when the veil between life and death is lifted. And then I'd like to take you one step further. And that's to how do we as everyday people have dialogue with our loved ones who are dying or people who are grieving I live in a 55 plus community, and right now I'm dealing with 2 people who are grieving, and possibly 3 by the end of the week. We will see, but we are the right category to talk about grieving. Few people really hold the hands of the dying more than nurses do. And I think you have my background. I've been mostly a cardiovascular ICU nurse, working in a surgical unit, working in a medical unit. I had the privilege for many years of being the death and spiritual care nurse for University of Wisconsin Trauma Center. I have been a nursing home administrator and director of nursing and a federal inspector of nursing home. So I've had a lot of time to deal with death. And in between doing my hands-on jobs, then I would go back to teaching. But you know better than most people, when you have a polio body, you can't be the bedside nurse all the time. You can only do it so long, and then you go back into teaching, and that's what I did. But from these experiences, and also for just stopping for car accidents and stuff, I have done cardiopulmonary resuscitation and used an AAD device so many times, and I've talked with people who have gone over to the other side and come back.
Wow.
One part of my job for the University of Wisconsin was also flying with the transplant team because they had questions when they went to pick up a liver. And sometimes it would be in the middle of the night to go across the country to get a liver. They really wanted someone with them to help them talk about, where is that person who's laying on the ventilator? And we're going to be the first team as the liver people to open that person up. So it was a very spiritual experience for them too. They knew somehow, but they needed a group to talk it with. So from all these experiences combined, I'm hoping today to help you with the question of, is death painful? Who is my loved one talking to? Grandpa's talking in bed to someone that sounds like he's talking to grandma, but actually grandma died 20 years ago. And I'm sort of curious about who he's talking to. And then what happens right at death. So an out-of-body experience is an event in which the spirit actually separates from the body and most often floats above. And people will tell you they were floating above and they could see their body below them. Now, I had polio when I was only 7 months old, so I really don't know life without polio. When I was a young child, first of all, my mother found me having trouble breathing, and then she was changing my diaper and she noticed I didn't move one leg. So they called the doctor and he said, my dad should take me right to the isolation hospital, which he did. And they took me from him, slammed the door in his face, put me in an iron lung, and that's how my life started. But when I was there, I learned that, they did a lot of procedures to you, like someone was commenting on, and they were painful procedures. I did not ask to go out of my body, but what I commonly did as a child was pop out of my body. And I remember so frequently being above my body at home in bed with that steel and leather brace on and in a muggy Wisconsin summer, just popping out to get away from the pain. But I didn't get to choose it. It just happened when it happened. So there may be people that are consciously able to choose it, but it became a part of my life that I did not control. And honestly, growing up, you didn't talk about your polio. You didn't talk about anything that made you feel different than anybody else.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going around mentioning going out of my body or anything. So for some people, the body does travel. When I was doing a emergency room conference in Milwaukee once, a doctor came up to me midway between my talk. There was a break, and he said, "Hey, you've got it. That's what happened to me." And he was a physician. He's told me the story of how he was walking down the hall as head physicians do with a bunch of students following him. And all of a sudden, he got severe chest pain and he collapsed on the floor. He went out of his body, up in the air. And as he describes it, he was watching his students put him in the bed, starting to do CPR on him. The little old red crash cart coming in with all the drugs, the defibrillator. He's seeing his students acting on him while he is up here. And he said, I felt like a little sort of translucent thing in the corner. And I was just looking down and I could hear everything they said. And he said, but I felt really good. Yeah, they were pounding on my chest. It didn't bother me. I did not feel that pain. So I thought, well, maybe I'll just keep going. But then all of a sudden, because this was a code situation, when you have a code in a hospital, there's a certain number that go up, and so many assigned people. Like when I worked in the coronary care unit, I was assigned to go to any code. Suddenly his wife comes in because she's a doctor. She's called to the code. And what does she do? She calls him by name. And she's yelling his name and his name repeatedly. And he says, I'm up here. And I am thinking, I like it up here. Maybe I'm supposed to keep going. But her calling my voice called me back. And he popped back into his body and he made it through. And he said, I'm telling you this because you didn't tell the part that I want people to know. And I want people to know that it's important that medical people know the people they're treating and call them by name. He said, I don't know if that had any influence over it at all. But from then on, that's one thing I always taught my students. He said, know your patients, know their first name. So another time I was teaching at, again, a paramedic conference, because paramedics have this eerie feeling many times that the people that they are helping are watching them from somewhere. And these were people, a lot of them were from the Oklahoma City bombing. So they had lots of thoughts about where were these people when I was unburying them. One paramedic in particular came to me and he said, I have to tell you this story because I know you're saying you're a mother, so you might understand this. He said, my mother was a school teacher. I went out on a call once and she read the newspaper and she said, there was a multiple rollover. And one of my former students, a student I really, really liked and was a very good student, was in one of the cars. Did you happen to be on that call? And the paramedic said, yeah, it sounds like it. And she said, well, I don't normally ask you to go to the hospital and say hello for anybody, but you're always dropping people off and picking people up. Would you mind just going to her and saying that I, since she was so special to me, really, really hope for her complete recovery? So one day when he dropped somebody off, he had extra time and he went to the woman's room. And he walked in the room and he said, I am. And she said, I know who you are. And he's like, wait, I am. And he's trying to tell that he's his mother's son. And she's like, I saw you during my accident. When the accident happened, I popped out of my body and I watched all you guys come. And you were the one that put the collar on me. And she didn't call it a collar, he said. She called it a thing, but it was a collar on her neck. And then they transferred her to a board. She remembered that. And she was unconscious at that point in time. And they wheeled her into the ER. He didn't see her beyond that. And she lived. So she was his example of someone else watching the paramedics at work which was exactly the thing the people from the Oklahoma City bombing were asking me. Were these people somewhere around still watching
Mm.
what we were doing? So it brings you to think that maybe our human being is just one manifestation of being. Okay. The packaging of death has changed over the time when I taught nursing. I mean, people live on now far what was known generations before, and they live on with more mental faculties than they would have had with the meager things we were working with in, say, the 70s compared to now. We revive them much faster. We have that AED out there that we did not have before. So they're getting transported to the ER faster. And research that is done now indicates that 20% of the people that we may resuscitate on the street or in the hospital, wherever, report at least some parts of having a near-death experience. So it's not an uncommon event for it to happen. I co-authored research done in an ICU where I worked, where we did CPR on people. And we talked to them about the elements of a near-death experience. And I'll explain later the tool we used. But we found also that approximately 20% of the people that we did CPR on would be telling us parts of the near-death experience once they have recovered from their resuscitation. So people can return to life now and tell those stories, whereas before they might have been lost. So a near-death experience, then, I feel like it's a step beyond an out-of-body experience. I don't know that it's ever in a book labeled that way, but it's an experience of undetermined origin that happens when a person is either in physiological trauma or it can be psychological danger too. We also find that that is reported. And research shows that up to 20 million Americans have had near-death experiences, and we'll talk about them. There is no one age, one religion, one sex, that's one nationality that reports more or less than another. A recent research study showed that 22% of hospitalized patients who are near death will start talking about the near-death experience. So who could these people be? I don't know if you're familiar with this book about FDR who had polio, but I did not know until I read it that the person who wrote FDR's biography also had polio. And what did he talk about? He talked about his out-of-body experiences, which I thought was neat because, wow, I'm like, somebody else has these too who had polio. Um, Carl Jung, the famous psychiatrist, when he had a heart attack, he described elements of a near-death experience. Even Elizabeth Taylor, she had surgery, emergency surgery, had a near-death experience, but didn't reveal it for 30 years. But she said it changed her. And what she noted was she became more philanthropic once she had a near-death experience. And you'll tie this in as you learn more. Tracy Morgan, the comedian, he said he was in a car crash. The other person unfortunately died. He spent a lot of time in therapy, but he reported that during the time of the car crash, he had elements of a near-death experience. And Chevy Chase, funny comedian, he was once wearing an electrical suit and it was supposed to just light up, not really electrocute him, but he had a near-death experience where he lost consciousness and then reported the elements of a near-death experience. I wish I could get the slide to go over a little bit. I'm sure you have copies. We can always get people copies. If you give me your email, I can send you a copy of the slides. Beliefs are like guests that come up to the door. And they only come in if you open that door and let them in. I mean, I realize you can be separate from your body because I learned that before I was 1 year old, that does happen. And this brought me to the doorstep of listening to patients in the cardiovascular ICU. The first time that I recognized that one of my patients that we did CPR on in the cardiovascular ICU was having a near-death experience was when I was a very new grad. And I had been trained in ICU when I was in school. So my last year was being trained in ICUs. So when I went into this unit, it was one that I already had worked in as a student. But I still was low nurse on the totem pole, being the first student hired there. So being that all the higher up nurses were in the back room having coffee and getting report and drinking Swedish coffee by the egg when you have the egg dropped in it to take the bitterness out of it and sweets. And I was just to monitor the room. And one of our patients, and I'm just going to call her Eunice today. She's long gone. It's been a long time, but her heart stopped. So I couldn't run to her bed, but I went as fast as I could. And because I'm only 5'2", or I was 5'2", and I think I'm more like 5 feet now, that I had to get up on the bed in order to effectively be able to do compressions. And at the same time, I pulled the alarm, and the people started to come from their coffee and help me out. And we brought Eunice back. And then my job was to reassess her and make her comfortable after it and get all the charting done. But she surprised me. And she said to me, I saw you when I was way going through a tunnel. And I'm like, I'm listening. Okay. And she said, you were up on the bed and you were pounding. She doesn't say CPR. Patients don't know that, but you're pounding on my chest. And at that time I was breathing for her too, because that was the protocol then. And she said, I went down a long tunnel and it was wonderful. I'm going to have to take a swallow of water. And I had spinobulbar polio, so my swallowing's getting worse. What can I say? I eat softer food, and I have water always available. But she said, I saw a bright light at the end of the tunnel, and it seemed to pull me toward it. And I didn't know what was happening, but suddenly I found myself pop back into my body, and there you were, pounding on my chest. And she said, I have to tell you, you may be new working here, but you're really strong. And I just love that patient. But I told the other people in the unit, do you think they believed me? Near-death experiences. It's a whole wide range of feelings and experiences that happen. This is a general list. People feel euphoric, float out of their bodies, go through a tunnel, maybe see a being of light, maybe talk to a guide. That could be a family member, a minister, somebody. They have a review of deeds, something we always wonder about. They see beautiful scenes, but a beautiful scene to one person is not necessarily the same beautiful scene as another person. They reach a border, obviously, and return, because those are the only ones we talk about. And they come back with a message that there is no death as we know it. So the sense of well-being, how they describe it, they say they weren't afraid, although there is some research on disturbing near-death events where some people were afraid at the beginning, but it's a very, very low percentage. It didn't come up in any of my research nor any of my personal friends' research. People report they feel comfortable, they feel joy. Many of them say they feel as if they came home, which is interesting to me. They are connected to a higher power. They don't necessarily connect it with a specific religion, and they feel more knowledgeable. Here, the spirit floats above the body and it looks down. This is called the autoscopic component. And I took this picture of the 103rd, I took it off Google, not myself, 103rd floor of the Empire State Building. And I did this after 9/11 because my mother was so worried about the people who jumped from the buildings during 9/11. And I said, remember what is in my book, that when people die, they leave their bodies and they feel no pain. And my mama said, thank you. I needed that because it worried me so much that they were jumping. So she was kind of thinking the same things as some of the paramedics are thinking. What is happening to these people? Many of the people say they go through a tunnel, and some say there's a bright light at the end of the tunnel, but there's lots of countries where there are not tunnels. So people say, I went through the funnel of a plant, or I went within a gourd. So it's some sort of journey they went on. The tunnel is described as empty, and some people report that there's buzzing or humming that they might hear. One person will say the light was as bright as a halogen lamp. Other people will say, well, the light was golden. So I made you a slide that's a combination. Okay. Some people call the light an actual being. Others don't feel that way. Some people say that the light makes them feel loved and forgiven. Probably my favorite part as a nurse, people going through this and talking about it, is them recalling people they meet who might be a loved one or family member. When I was the death and spiritual care nurse, one of my jobs was when there was a death in the ER and the family had to be called in to be told of this. My job was to stop by the chaplain office, grab one, and go to the ER. And on one particular day, I'll never forget, and actually I still have the note from the mother within my tiny box of only notes I'm saving. I've given most of my things to my kids now. But the child that was brought in was a baby. And she was brought in from the babysitters because she had sudden infant death syndrome. So the team was dealing with telling the parents this, that their child that was at the babysitters was now dead. And a nurse had taken the body to be cleansed and to be wrapped in what we did, a soft, cozy blanket, so that the parents then could hold their child on occasions like this. My job was to talk with them with the chaplain. So we help them get into a room off the side of an ER. And if you've ever been in an ER, I mean, it's not a pretty place. And this room was not a pretty place. It just was white walls and a white linoleum floor. And the chairs were actually like card table chairs, those metal chairs. And the mother and father sat down, and that's all the chairs there were. So the chaplain and I kneeled in front of him, and the mother was rocking on her chair and rocking. And if you can imagine what a card table chair sounds like, wow, rocking on a linoleum floor, that's what it sounded like. And she was crying uncontrollably, which I can identify with a mother. She would not give eye contact to me or the chaplain. She would not even look at her husband. The chaplain said some wonderful things that the father could really hang on to and grab some comfort from. And then the father looked at me and he said, where do you think my Jenny is? And I said, well, you know, I'm a nurse, so I've been with people who have died and come back. And what they tell me is that oftentimes someone meets them part way. And at that point, it is someone who loved them. It is, maybe they didn't know them, but it might be an aunt or an uncle or a grandmother, but someone who loved them. And that is the person that either sends them back or takes them forward. And the Mother Hills still had been rocking like this and rocking like this, and the floor was squeaking, and she was giving no one any eye contact. And the father suddenly put his arm around her chair. And he looked at her and he said, "Do you think Jenny could be with your mother?" Which made sense to them. And then he looked at me and he said, "Her mother died 6 months ago." So that all made sense. And the mother never stopped sobbing uncontrollably, but she did stop rocking in her chair, and she was able to then look at her husband and get closer to her husband. So what did the near-death event do then? It helped me help someone dealing with the most beloved thing they ever experienced. Another time when I was a federal investigator, and I used to have to go to healthcare facilities when there was a, shall we call it, uncommon death. Nobody knew how it all happened. And my partner and I were it was toward the end of our day, and we heard a knock at the door, and a young woman came in and said, "Could I just talk to you?" She was coming on her shift. She worked 4 to 8 p.m. She was both a CNA and a student nurse. As a CNA, her job during that after dinner hour until 8 was to take people from the activity back to their rooms, help them get ready for bed, and then make sure everyone was tucked in by 8 p.m. when she signed off of her shift. And she said, "I have to tell you this story if it's okay, because I just heard who died across the hall from her." She's taking the woman back to her room, and normally she just turned the wheelchair in, got it all done. But the woman didn't want to go in. She said, "No, I don't want to go into that room. I want to watch the angels across the hall." And she pointed to above the room where the patient had died, the one that we were doing the investigation on. And the woman had been trying to get out of her bed. The side rails were up, and you know how hospital gowns are, the ties got caught in one of the levers, and she was short and hung herself. So it's totally unexpected. The CNA said, "I didn't see any angels," but the CNA was, I mean, she was a student nurse too. She knew to listen to people. She knew that their story is their story, and you have to respect that. And so she did listen. And she said, "I wasn't able to say anything." She said, "I even told her I would get in trouble because I didn't get her in bed before I left my shift, but that didn't matter. So I left her there and reported off that she was there." But that was her story about how she first learned that when people died, a lot more was going on than what we were physically seeing as healthcare workers. People want to know when they die. I know there's a St. Peter's story. I'm not real familiar with it. I don't know where it is in the Bible. I'm sorry. I'll have to ask the priest I swim with if he can tell me where that is, come to think of it. But everybody wants to know, what do they want to know about you when you die? And Lynn did a study, and they said, "What kind of questions were you asked?" And they generalized them. So I will read you their generalization. Some of the questions: what have you done with your life to show me? Who loved you the most? What events made you grow the most? How did you use your talents? Who is better off because they happened to meet you? Were you a forgiving person? Did you forgive someone who really, really hurt you? What is the worst thing you ever did? And when were you hurt the most? I call it the golden rule review of deeds because it really focuses in on how we treat each other. What we do for each other counts. The light being in the tunnel is able to accept anyone, irregardless, which is a step up from us when we're in life personally. And we have sometimes a hard time, and we know this being polio survivors, accepting someone who's different than us, because we get that vibe from people who stare at us. people report there are beautiful scenes, and I put one up here, but it could be green, it could be yellow, it could be purple, I don't know. Because they all have the different view about what they see. I mean, when I die, not if I die, when I die, I want to see pine trees because I miss my northern Wisconsin pine trees. But they talk about all sorts of colors, translucent clouds, but the scenes vary from person to person. Now, what do you see here?
Hmm.
How many see a rabbit? How many see a duck? Okay, it's the same picture. Is one of you right and one of you wrong? Or can people see truth differently? Whether you see the rabbit or whether you see the duck depends on who you are and what your experiences in life have been. We all see things not as they are, but we see things as we are. Can you see the old woman in this slide? Can you see the young woman too? Some people can see either the old woman or the young woman. I myself am better at one. And is this a big black vase? Or is this the silhouettes of two people in white? And they're a round vase. We all say things differently. A border is reached. And I gave you a picture of the Arizona border because I happened to go there last year with my son and my husband and my daughter-in-law. And one of them took this beautiful picture of our countryside, but that's just part of the border. Someone decides that if the person is to remain or to go further on. Remember the story of the good doctor who said, next time when I think that person's going to the border, I'm going to call their name. I'm not sure it'll work, but for him, it did. Then the person returns to their body. Many people use the word popped. They pop back into their body. The number of times that I've been out of my body, yeah, I've been very conscious about popping back into my body. Sometimes I remember a time when I was playing in the garage, and you know how you take two vehicles and you try and swing between them, and it doesn't work too well, and you fall on the cement floor and knock yourself out? I did that. And my girlfriend ran through the garage. Garages were not attached then, through the backyard into the house to get my mother screaming. I could see her do all that. But the little boy next door came over and was staring at me. And there was no way I was going to pop back into my body until my mother came. I don't know how I did that because I didn't really have control over it any other time. But I do remember that was one time I was just like, I'm not going back in till I see my mother. No, not. And I didn't. The message people get is don't fear death. It's an experience. You'll pop back into your body. Some people, when they do come back, though, are angry. They're angry that we brought them back. One of my dear colleagues once was doing the major care for a man who was in his own cubicle in the ICU. And he was a Wisconsin retired farmer, and he was riding on his lawnmower and got too close to the edge where there was a hill, and it just flipped on him. And he had burns and he had broken bones, and he had been resuscitated. He talked to my friend, who was just a wonderful, kind nurse. So I'm sure she listened to every word so he could get his story out. And he said, I want to go through it again. I don't remember where in the 80s he was at that time. And I mean, she loved the guy. She just thought he was great, but she also respected that he was trying to tell her he had a different wish for next time. So she got him together with the social workers, and eventually, because he was of not sound body, but he was of sound mind, he was able to change his resuscitation wishes to do not be resuscitated. So some people do not want to go back. The longer one is in clinical death, the longer that CPR goes on, the more likely you are to have had a near-death experience. One of my favorite people is Albert Einstein, because he always teaches me something. And this is just one of his statements about, think back in time to when people thought we were crazy to just think electricity could exist. And now here you and I are looking at AI and machine learning. I just wrote a module about autism for continuing education for nurses. And what's thrilling for me about it is that because of AI and machine learning, we're now able to get into the brain and see as it develops and be able to diagnose autism earlier and provide more person-centered care that may make people more comfortable. So this is my friend Bruce Grayson, who was an emergency room psychiatrist at the University of Virginia. And one day he said to me, "Okay, Sue, got a question for you." He had to go to the ER every time a suicide would come in, a victim of suicide, a person trying to commit suicide who made it. And he said, then I meet with them and we talk and they tell me their experience. Do you think if they had a near-death experience, because it's a wonderful experience, that they will try again pretty soon? Because they want to go to the place where they were loved. They want to go to the place where they were totally accepted. And I said, yes. And he said, you're wrong. He said, they don't. He said, somehow from the near-death experience, it changes people to feel like they have more self-esteem and more love. So when I've done my study, I've determined that people who attempt suicide are not more likely to go back and try again if they've had a near-death experience. Oh, this was his question he asked me. These are some of the questions in the Bruce Grayson near-death research tool, and I'm going to go quickly through them, and you may use them. You have access, or I can give you access to the handout. Because they're questions like when I had a patient who was in a motorcycle accident. He talked about having the elements of a near-death experience. He wanted to share that with his parents. He was a young man. But he said to me, frankly, I think they will think I was on pot riding on my motorcycle and they will be very angry. And I said, how about if I bring in this tool and you fill it out and then we'll see what happens. He rated on this scale for having a near-death event. Then he wanted me to sit down with his mom and dad and he went through it and they didn't berate him and think that he was smoking pot on his motorcycle. So this was a question you're asked. Was time speeded up or slowed down? Were your thoughts speeded up? Did you see scenes from your past? Suddenly understand everything? Were you peaceful? All these things part of the near-death experience. Did you feel joy? Did you feel a sense of harmony? Surrounded by that brilliant light? Were your senses more vivid? Were colors more vivid? Were you aware of any extrasensory perception? Did you see scenes from the future coming to you? Did you feel separated from your body? Did you see some unearthly realm? Were there any mystical presences with you? Did you see any deceased relatives or religious spirits? Did you come to a border of no return? And a score of 7 or higher is considered evidence of a near-death experience. So we know life changes us, death does change us too. Another researcher, Kenneth Ring, has studied most of his life. What are the after effects? If you're a person that's had a near-death experience, he follows people and he learns about what happened to them that he feels is relevant to having had the experience. These are the common things he has found. People are more spiritual. They grow as a person. I kind of sort of miss that feeling of no pain. They do fear being thought crazy telling the story. Some of them have a hard time even getting it out, but they end up being more serene, less materialistic, like Elizabeth Taylor said. Many have a great need for solitude. It's a lot to take in to have had a near-death experience. And some report heightened psychic abilities. This is me in India, and I took nursing students to India to give immunizations in the countrysides. And we would travel from small village to small village, but we got to go to New Delhi for a few days, and this is New Delhi. And on the left is the Lotus Temple in New Delhi, and that's the white thing. It opens, all those petals open up. And people, as you see, are lining up. They're constantly lining up because you just travel through it. You get your time to sit on a bench. In there, you can meditate, you can chant. And when your time is up, a bell will ring, and then you're out the door, and the next group comes in. I thought it was a wonderful experience. Even a better experience was this Bangla Sahib temple. And this picture I had to take off the web because every time I took a picture of it, there were so many people in front of it, you wouldn't have been able to see the building. This building had a huge kitchen. The mixers were the size of my entire kitchen because I have a galley kitchen. The mixing bowls were just absolutely huge. They gave away 100,000 free meals a day. So when it was time for the meal part, that whole area was filled with people. So people say they're nicer after a near-death experience. I'm not as crabby. I feel good about myself. But there are those who feel they might be looked upon weirdly by telling their story. When I was a director of nursing at a place, I gave a talk for the campus because it was a campus of a wide variety of healthcare buildings. And it was about out-of-body and near-death experiences. And the next day, I heard a knock on my door, and I opened the door, and there was a 76-year-old woman standing there. And I invited her in, and she asked me if she could tell a story. And I said, have a seat. And she said, I was at your talk, and I want to tell you that this is the first time I'm talking about it with anyone because I had what you would call a near-death experience. And she explained the trauma she was under at the time of her near-death experience. She went and told her mother about the experience, and her mother said, don't you ever tell anyone that because they will think you're crazy. So she held that in for all those years, 70 years before she told anybody she had a near-death experience. And she just wanted to say, thanks. You made me feel normal. But others will have a difficult time. Nurses are good at just sitting down and saying, I don't care if it takes a long time. Just tell me in little bits. Some nurse told me this statement about her patient. He seems so full of wonderment. That's about all after he had the near-death experience. People come back, as I said, less materialistic. Everything is impermanent. They know that. They tend to pick fewer friends. They'll pick the ones they really like and, not hang around with the ones they don't. They learn life is a sacred opportunity and that time is sacred. Many have heightened psychic abilities. You don't know who's going to get what. Synchronicity, the ability to be in the same place and time as someone else or to think along the same lines as someone. My poor husband is always like, Susie, how do you know what I'm thinking? And I have to say, I don't know. I just know. It spooks him, especially if we're watching TV because you're following a plot. And he says, why? And I go, I know. And he goes, what do you think? And I tell him, he goes, how do you know? I don't know. Telepathy, to communicate by unexplainable needs. When I was in grad school, I was working, I remember the title of my paper. I was working so hard on this paper, and I felt my godfather in the room with me when I was working on the paper. I can still picture it, all the little room. I got a call from my mother a couple hours later that my uncle had died. And I thought, I wonder if he came around. When my students were seniors, they took a 6 months training in hospice. So they were paired up with a hospice nurse during that time. And I got very friendly with the nurses. And one week when I went to visit a student, this one nurse said to me, you know, I was off for the weekend and I was at home and I was by my kitchen sink and there I was cleaning vegetables because I was going to make a casserole for dinner. And I smelled the perfume of this patient I was taking care of in hospice. And I came back this week and the patient wasn't alive. So I grabbed her chart and I looked at the time and day she died. And it was the same time as I smelled her in my kitchen. What do you think of that? And I'm like, oh man, I would have never have guessed myself, but I believe you. Yeah, I think we can travel in the end. Some people have precognition. They know events before they can happen. Some people have clairvoyance. We don't even know how they know what they know. But from what I hear, they make good detectives. But again, you feel loved by the experience, so loved that you have increased self-esteem from the total experience. Steve Jobs, CEO of Apple, when he was on his deathbed, what did he say it was like looking out there? He just said, wow, wow. You know, the dying people are talking to the other side, and this is okay. If you spend some time with dying people, you will see them reaching out. You will hear them talking. You will hear them say, I'm coming soon, or I'm not ready. I'm almost ready. I can't even count on, I need more fingers than this to count on to tell you the number of times I have been with a patient who's dying and the family comes and they stay and they don't want to miss the dying part. So they stay for like hours and hours and hours. Finally, they take a break and go to the cafeteria. And you know what happens. The patient dies. Because how many of us parents, is it our wish to really have them watch us die? I don't know. I know for me, probably not. Cafeteria would be good, you know. But actually, one of the hospice nurses I trained, she's going to be with me when I die. And it is a great honor to have her be at my bedside. So what does that mean for you and me? Because we're not working in the hospital. We might be at the scene of an accident. What are the things that we have learned from out-of-body experiences and near-death experiences that will help us and help us be able to talk to people who may be having such experiences? One thing is to dying patients. You go visit your dying friend, and your dying friend is talking to someone who's not in the room. I would say, I'm happy someone's with you. If I could tell maybe my friend was talking to her husband who had died before and she loved him, I would say, I'm happy John's with you. But I would say something of support for that patient. If they saw an angel, even though I didn't see an angel, I still would say wonderful, even though it wasn't my vision. To those left behind when someone dies, you can tell them that all the reports are there is no pain at death, and that people come to meet people when they're dying, people who actually are connected with them and love them. Now, some people can predict when they're going to die. Even though we healthcare personnel do not know when they're going to die, and other people can choose their time to die. I had a patient come in the middle of the night when I was working in coronary care unit, and I still remember her being wheeled down the hall. And we put her in a bed and put leads on her, and she had cardiac disease. And she said, "I'd like to take communion." And I said, "Well, it's like the middle of the night." And she said, "I really want to take communion." And it was a Catholic hospital where I was working. I'm not Catholic, so I wasn't as familiar as I could be. So I called Father Leo, who is a wonderful priest who did bedside work. And he was assigned to be on call for the night shift. And I said that this lady came in and, she just really wanted to take communion. And I said she was stable. I put the leads on her. I saw her rhythm. Everything was fine. But I said there was something in her eyes and something that made me know that it was very, very important for her to take communion. And he said, "Well, I could do it at change of shift tomorrow morning, right away." And I said, "Father Leo, I just get this feeling that she wants it and something's going to happen." So he came in. He was a good man, and he gave her communion. And at change of shift, her heart stopped. And we had two groups of people, the people going on and people going off, were all there with all the drugs we could give her, doing CPR and everything, and she did not make it through it. She knew. But she did have her last wish. So sometimes it's a gift, listening to the patients. So sometimes what we can count in life doesn't count, and what we can't count does. One of my favorite authors, Herman Wohlke, Winds of War, said, "Are we here to laugh or cry? Are we dying, or are we just being born?" Another one of my favorite authors is Wendell Berry, and he wrote a book about a grave digger that he called Jayber Crow. He was a fictional character. And it was a lovely account of him growing in philosophy as he got older. And he said in the beginning that he saw all this big amount of life ahead of him. That was exciting. But nearing the end of life, he said, I saw that my part of life was shrinking, and the time that I would be a memory was growing. And he said, what came to me then was it wouldn't even be my memory that I was a part of. I would be a part of someone else's memory in the end. So life is a test. If it were not a test, we would all have been given better instructions. And I'll stop sharing. Thank you. I'm glad those of you with smiles look like you had fun.
Okay, how do I get her? I am. There.
Thank you. I enjoyed that presentation.
If anybody wants that presentation, I can just email it to everybody. I have it on my computer. So just let me know, maybe in the
Yeah.
chat.
Yeah. I have a friend who had that kind of experience. She's now deceased, but she talked about when she died and she was on the table and her husband was holding her hand. And he was calling her to come back, but she had her mother calling her. Her mother was deceased. And she said that she could see her mother, but her mother kept pushing her back, saying, "It's not your time."
Yeah.
So this is thank you for that information.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Remember, remember to unmute, because most of you are muted right now. You want to say something?
I want to also thank my cousin. I invited her to this call. She's in Minnesota. And she's here listening to this also. We're very
Nice.
close.
Nice.
Sue, have loved your presentation. Excellent. I wonder if there's a
Thank you.
correlation in terms of the brain and these experiences. If there is it the same from person to, I see similarities in all of these experiences, and I wonder if it's something that's part of the physical brain or the learning experience or what. So you've seen studies, I'm sure.
But you know what's going to come in the future? They're going to actually be able to do things with like fMRI and study actually what's going on in the brain when people have these. That's things that we don't know. What we know is what we hear from patients, but they're actually going to be able to see what goes on. It'll be interesting, but we won't be here at that time. It's like what they're doing with kids with autism. They're learning more about how the actual physical structure and everything is different in the different brains. It's exciting times. But I'm grateful people have talked about it. I mean, the people who are a part of the International Association for Near Death Study, I mean, you wouldn't believe the conferences. They're huge because they hear a smidgen here from a relative and a smidgen there, and they want to know more. Yeah. I'm happy it's a good experience. I can't imagine not wanting it to be a good experience. Yeah.
I wonder too, uh, the more religious a person is, does that have an impact on the experience?
The studies that I have read have shown that it didn't matter what your religion was. There was no one religion that made you experience it more or tell it in such a way. That wasn't a factor. Yeah. But think about what if you went to a religious institution and they taught about it in a certain way? I don't know how that would influence it. Mhm. And, you know, what we reveal about ourselves, so much depends on how willing we are to share some of this stuff that sounds off the wall. Are we made differently? I don't know.
I had one experience when I was riding my bike down a hill leaving work, and the chain got caught in the front wheel, and so suddenly I just flipped forward, and then I woke up and I was in the ER and never knew what happened or how I got there because I was on my bike. And then I was at a seminar one time where a person would give hypnosis in front of the group. And so I got hypnotized and I was in the back seat. I could remember it clearly because I was in the back seat and I saw the two men that must have picked me up and thrown me in the car and and watched it. So under hypnosis, I remembered what happened.
Wow.
Um, which is kind of strange, but I seem to have a very good skill at repressing bad memories. And so I think, because as far as I can tell, I don't have any bad memories, so I think it's because I repress very successfully.
I think we polio survivors are good at it. Yeah,
Maybe
we've
so.
had
I
to
mean,
be.
I would
Yeah.
like to be able, like when you said you didn't have control about the out of the body to get away from
Hmm.
pain, but that's what
Hmm.
I would like to think. would be possible, you know.
Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah.
Well, this is Boss Day, and I just want to thank you, Susan, for sharing. I
Oh, you're
enjoyed
very
the story.
welcome.
I don't know anyone personally, but it has kind of satisfied a curiosity and a wonder that I've always kind of maybe just thought about. Um, and so for that, like I said, thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, as you've had a lot of experience, I was with my husband when he died just a couple months ago, and our kids were there too. And we were aware of the idea that hearing is one of the last things you lose. So he was just laying there, eyes wide open, and I'd turn his head, and he couldn't seem to recognize that we were even with him. And then, but we were able to talk to him, and I was just kind of wondering, had he already gone blind, or did he lose? I sort of wonder what he was seeing. I sort of figure he was hearing things, so I'm glad that he only heard really good things. As a matter of fact, the who the nurse who happened that we asked to come into the room to see if he was dead, um, she walked into the room, and the first thing she said was, "Oh, I'm halfway through his book." So I thought if that was the last thing he heard, that would be a nice thing to hear, you know. So, but I was just kind of curious what the eyes wide open was about, because
Um, I can't comment on how he was, but I can tell you that my role, like when I'm a director of nursing, was always when a patient would die, they want your director of nursing to come in and make sure the person's dead because you don't want to feel alone as a nurse by that bedside. And my manner at the bedside is to say, "Hi, it's Sue. I'm come to look at you because she says you're probably not right here in your body." And at first, it took them a while to get used to that. I just keep talking to them because why not?
yeah, yeah.
And I thought it's a polite way to be able to have a formal goodbye
Mm-hmm.
because some of these people, when you're in a nursing home, you've known them for years and they are so beloved by staff.
Mm.
They know them for years that it was almost, I wanted to pattern touching them and being able to do something comforting so that they would feel it was okay. Yes, they just passed, but it's okay to be here and for us to say goodbye. I didn't feel it was eerie or anything. Yeah.
Right. Wow.
Oh, it looks like our questions are answered.
Well, everyone looks a bit stunned. Usually we're quite a lively, talkative group.
Oh, really? Uh-oh.
Oh, you wouldn't believe
Uh-oh.
it, but they are,
Uh-oh.
you know, right now they're being very quiet.
Very templative. Yeah.
Well, a
Contemplative.
great amount to absorb. Well done, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I try to break it down to people. Um, my dad had an eighth grade education. He, we were considered not only we had a polio kid, we were a German family. My father was left-handed, if you can believe. So his left hand was tied behind his back, and he left school at eighth grade and worked on the farm. And that was part of how um, he developed what was the family polio care for me because he saw calves born with crummy legs and wobbling around if they could even stand. And him being the young kid on the farm was told to take care of them. So he did not give up on me. He took me to a lake outside Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It was a weedy old lake and floated me. And eventually, he saw my polio leg at least do a little kick, I guess. But at that time, of course, we weren't allowed to be in pools, so I never got to swim in swimming pools in Milwaukee. But I learned to swim before I learned to walk. And they had told my parents I would never walk, but he kept exercising my leg in the water. Yeah.
Marvelous.
Yeah, I'd like to see your autism work now.
Oh,
Because I think,
I actually made a PowerPoint because I live in a community that loves to have some of us speak sometimes. So I'm
Uh-huh.
going to do the talk here. And then Michigan polio survivors want to hear it because they're interested in autism. Yeah. My daughter is a special ed teacher at a hospital in Portland, Oregon, and she works on a unit for teens who have been traumatized, and they're on the autism spectrum, the ones she works with. And it's quite amazing. When she was getting her undergraduate degree, um, she worked for the Wisconsin Early Autism Program, and families were able to have their child at home, and they had to pad the room and have all sorts of safety things. And then someone like my daughter would go in to teach them on a regular basis. And one time my daughter was leaving from her assignment and the mother walked her out and she said, "Why are you driving a car with a handicap plate?" Like it was a horrible thing to do. And she said, "Oh, it's my mom's car." And oh, by the way, my mom said she was a sick kid when she was a kid. And she said that if you would like some time all to yourselves, because they didn't get a break time. They
Hmm.
did not get a break time. Well, she was there for a while. That was a break time, but that's hardly anything.
Yeah.
She said, "You can bring them back. We will bring them back. I will bring them to my mom's house. And my mom will have art stuff there. She has a sewing machine. They can be with us for a while, or if you would like us to take them somewhere, we will do that." So we had quite a few kids that on and off would come back, and some are the greatest artists I've ever seen. I sew on a serger, and the serger makes like this high vibratory noise. They loved it. They absolutely loved it. And they could sew straighter than me. And my cat would sit by them, love them to death. My daughter's dog would sit like this on the couch. She did not like them. But we're still in touch with one, but one in particular, I had a very bad day at work once, and she was just arriving with, let's call him David. And I got out of my truck and he got out of her car door that was next to where I was getting out. And he came up to me and he went, with his arms like this. And my daughter Molly is like, "Is he trying to hug you?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And she said, "I think he is." And I said, "I just had the most horrible day with my boss." And I said, "I bet he knows." And she
Oh,
said, "He probably does." And another day we took him, he liked to go to this like carnival place at the mall, which, his parents took him to once in a while, but they were grateful when we volunteered to take him also. It was a all noisy thing. And you had to cross the street to get to it. And at one point he took my hand to cross the street. And my daughter's like, "Does David have your hand? He's holding your hand." I'm like, "Hmm." She says, "He doesn't hold hands." And I said, "He probably thinks I need help across the street."
oh,
So I
yeah,
don't know what they know. I
right,
don't know. I
right.
just don't know, but I'm impressed. But my daughter's, of course, all eyes and ears on her unit and very understanding of anything.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry Wayne's not
So
here.
I
He would
love getting
enjoy
into
this.
autism and
Yeah.
I work for a group called Pedagogy that produces continuing education modules, and I produce for them two on polio. An introduction to polio is
Mhm.
one, and the other is care of the polio survivor. And actually, polio survivors have taken them. And one has told me that she liked taking the care of the polio survivor, especially because she could print it out and take it to her doctor and teach them. a few things about polio.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, nurses, we have to take continuing ed every year.
Right.
And sometimes you get to choose a topic and sometimes you don't. So this company provides a wide variety, but I did make that into now a people-friendly talk. And I ran it by one of my friends the other day, sent her all the slides and stuff. And she's okay, it's people-friendly. She liked it.
Okay.
So if you
Good.
ever want that, I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, maybe we should line you up again. Definitely.
You can talk and see. I can send you the slides if you want, and you can share them and look at them.
Mhm.
I can
Okay.
make a PDF of the slides. Yeah.
Okay. That would be
Okay.
really nice.
We'll
Yeah.
do that.
And then
Yeah,
we'll,
because some groups are just like the Michigan group. They've heard of me talk a lot, but they said, we'd like to hear about something we don't know about. Sometimes it's just good to get together
Yeah.
and not talk about polio.
oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
We're much bigger than polio.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
In many, many ways. Well, thank you for inviting me. It was good to be with you. And
Oh,
now it's time for Susie's nap time.
Thank
okay, that's right. We did interrupt that. So thank you for staying with us.
You are welcome. Have a wonderful day.
I'll be in touch. Thank you so much.
Okay. You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. She was funny about planning around her nap time. We almost had to move the Zoom time to work. So she made it, being
you.
West Coast. What do y'all think? Should we try her presentation on autism and sometime we've got I'm not sure actually what we've got for September. Marianne, but not this Marianne, but a different one was going to help with that she has connections with post-polio doctors and the things going on in Europe. And so she was maybe going to find us one of those speakers, because evidently Europe they always like to claim they're ahead of us. I don't know, but we shall see. So that might be September. October, we're getting Shirley Thomas again. And so there will be a lot of changes by next year. And hopefully still have her job. So that's what's planned. And boy, everybody's so quiet.
The European Polio Union just had their annual meeting, and they had a lot of seminars. So there might be something there for you.
Okay, maybe that's who she was going to contact. She said it was a man in Netherlands.
Okay, yeah,
Is that,
he is
yeah,
top notch, number
yeah.
one.
I can't remember the name she said, but hopefully she's working on getting him. I told her this month I'm moving, so hey, I've moved, everybody. You see, I'm in my I got this cool thing. I got this bunk bed. So I really liked my full size mattress. I mean, it was just a full size. It wasn't the one Steve and I used, but it was like my day bed. And so I found on Amazon they have full size bottom and then a single size top. And so I'm not putting a bed up there because there's too many little kids that would be up there trying to jump off. So I won't do that. But boy, this is handy. I've got these bars, so I can do pull-ups. I'll re-practice my pull-up ability or whatever. And then I can hang my clothes that I couldn't decide if I was going to wear them or not. And I just flip them up there. So it's kind of real handy. So if anybody is looking around to what to get. So I've moved to my son's basement, and they felt badly because this room doesn't have a window, but it has this huge library. And so I figure if I don't miss a window if I know I can open up a book, but then I can walk out of my room down the hallway and I've got my own back patio going into the deep dark woods. And so that's kind of fun. So I can sit out there on a deep dark, and they're working on making me a kitchen. So I'm just waiting. I all I've got right now is a basket of snacks. that have been mysteriously disappearing because there's 4 little boys that live here. And so I I had gotten on my healthy food card or whatever some of those Fiber One brownies because they just taste like brownies, and they mysteriously disappeared. So anyway, in a while I'll have a refrigerator and a one hot plate so I can cook for myself if I want to, but thankfully my daughter-in-law, if I can manage to get upstairs, either by riding my lawnmower around the side to the front of the house, or some days I feel like I can do it. So I'll climb the mountain. We call it Mount Everest. And I get to the landing and I can rest there for a while and read a book. And then I can go up the rest of the flight of stairs. And she's a really good cook. Um, so working out, widowhood it's working out so far, so good. Maureen, you're on mute, but you want to speak. Yay.
Your husband passed?
In May.
I didn't
Yep.
realize that. I'm so
Oh.
sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I say, I know I should be grieving more, and I miss him, especially because he knows all the technical support that we need to move from my house to this house. But I don't miss the cancer. And so I miss him, but I've been so busy making this adjustment that, I just cry in church. I'm getting my grief and whatnot worked out. Hopefully I'm not going crazy, but yeah, he died, and it was just one day. I dropped him off at the ER, and the next time I saw him, he was like I was just describing, just staring at the ceiling. And I had to quickly sign the papers from palliative care to hospice where I know he didn't want to be brought back if it was going to be more painful cancer. So it was colon cancer. But he managed 3 years on it, on stage 4, being discovered at stage 4 metastatic, and he still did the chemos and everything else. So yeah, I don't miss the cancer. That was not a fun time.
Yeah.
But so it goes.
Got to run.
Well, thankfully for family, that you have your son and daughter-in-law there and you have a place and
Yeah.
comforting to know that your husband is no longer in pain and
Yes.
in a better place. And that's always hopefully a comforting feeling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This was a good topic today to help with that transition,
That's true. That's true. I was thinking more in terms of the out of the body experiences to get out of pain, because I was considering getting a hip replacement, but I do not like the idea of going back into surgery after all those childhood surgeries. It's like, oh, especially if I'm going to just be weak and end up using my chair most of the time anyway. So,
And how's that going to play into going up and down the stairs there?
it might help going up the stairs, because right now, I think if it didn't hurt my hip, I crawl, of course, up the stairs, and I crawl down, like a toddler. You teach them to sit on the steps and go
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
So, I'm safe on the stairs and I can do it. I just don't like if I do it too many times. Like yesterday, I did it 2 times. I had to go up the stairs. Today, I don't plan on leaving here.
Would a stair lift, a chair?
Yeah, we're looking into all those alternatives. They're bringing my car around, figuring out a way to make a driveway so I can bring the car around. Because right now I've got these nice riding lawnmowers, and my job is still to mow probably about 5, 6 acres of meadow, which I love doing. So,
Wow.
yeah, and on
You're
nice
earning your-
days.
How you're earning your keep.
It's like fun.
Yeah, I had to hold the baby the other day while she took care of
Party.
what the 4-year-old tried to mop the kitchen floor by pouring many buckets of water on it or something.
Oh my.
So I was sitting out on my patio and she dropped the baby in my lap and went up and
Hold
right
her.
of her kitchen, right, him. They're all hymns. So, yeah, I'm having fun. Actually, they just went to go visit grandma in Michigan, so they've gone for 2 weeks. I have 2 weeks of quiet to kind of settle into my place with just my son here, and when he's
Mm.
not working, he's able to help fix up our kitchen and all that. So it's going to be fun. It's like playing house, you know.
Good, good.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Laughter is good.
And somebody was asking, was it Pat? Is she still here? You were asking on an email about people, their doctors. Is that what it was that you were asking? Did you get enough names?
I got a few names, but not everybody responded.
Because,
I
yeah,
just wanted to know who you go to for your polio needs.
well,
And what I found is we don't have a lot of people that specialize in polio, but some doctors know enough about it to treat us. So I just wanted to make a new list to send out to everybody. So if you
mhm.
haven't responded, let me know. And thank you to those that did.
You got, because I saw that Joe respond to you with Dr. Malhotra? I think that's how you say it. Her name, I like her. She's
Yeah,
very
I
good.
do too.
I'm in the process of trying to find a doctor that is going to be custom made, a KAFO, a knee ankle foot orthotic, and she's very. We were talking about all the new things. I love that, and that you can get when you get brace. I need that support for my knee.
Is she a shepherd?
At Emory?
No,
Dr. Malhotra's at Emory.
He's at Emory, yes, in the building 12 where Dr. Strasser was. She's in the same office. And she says, listen, just have them call me and we'll interact and I'll talk to them about what you need and everything. She was all very excited about, because I had read and done a little bit of research before I went in. And I love, and Joe had told me she had a really good attitude, and like she can't, that's you pick up on it right away. So that was very exciting, because I think some of us felt like we were out in the wilderness
We are.
and we needed a little advice. But she is a what is it, physiatrist? There you go, physiatrist. I always say it wrong. That's what she is. And so is Dr. Burke, but I don't think Dr. Burke ever
Dr. Burke was not.
had one conversation that he even knew anything about our problems. And so this,
Well,
to me, she has really been very, very helpful and very supportive, because by the time I walked out of
were you
it,
able to go? Were you able to go to her and request her? Because I had difficulty requesting. I've tried to go to a number of doctors, and they said you can't go directly. You got to go through this system.
happened was because they had given me, because I had cancer, they had given me a physiatrist that was down at Midtown in the new Winship building.
Right, right. I've been down there.
Yeah, but that's a hard track.
I agree.
So I called and I said, listen, I really need, I talked to them and said, and I had to get approved, but that I wanted to switch doctor, because that was too much. And I felt very strange talking to a cancer doctor about polio, because you feel like you're in two different universes, right? So, but that's okay. She wasn't a bad doctor, but she wasn't like, I like the one that like Dr. Malhotra. I like her, the one that's in Dr. Strasser's office. Yeah.
How do you spell her name?
Malhotra, I think. Is that right, Joe?
Yeah. I gave Pat all of her information, email and all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. I also try to go to CH Martin, because there's a guy up in Swanee that makes them from scratch. He makes you custom made braces. But when I called them for an appointment, guess what? This was weird. I don't know what it was, but they said, well, call us next month or the month after because we have to get back in approval of Medicare. I don't know if they did something wrong,
Right.
if what they're doing. So I don't want to scare anybody, but because I'm right in the middle of all of this. I'm trying to get all the so I might go to somebody that is my one of my very closest friends is a double amputee from birth. So she's been getting her prosthetics all of her life since she was born. So she knew an orthopedic doctor because she says the best place in the southeastern United States is up in Chattanooga. So she says, and there's a really good orthopedic doctor up there too that does braces. So that's the next. I just keep going till something connects and like it. And she really highly recommended the offices that person's in. So what do? You have to keep looking, right?
Yeah. Well, I go to the Muscular Skeletal Institute over there near the new area there. It's part of Emory. It's that new building
Lane.
right up from where Dr. Strasser used to be.
Right.
And I have a physiatrist.
There you go.
But she's nice, you know what I mean? But she's not, well, nobody's Dr. Strasser, but I mean, if this person is used to dealing with polio victims, you know, polio survivors, and that's very helpful to know.
Yeah.
And to be able to go through the system without them saying, well, you have to go to, you know, another doctor. Because I switch general practitioners also. So, you know, but they didn't give me much choice.
But
Well,
Dr. Mahaltra, oddly enough, is in oncology medicine, but she's an oncology rehabilitation specialist.
yes,
And oddly enough, the physical rehabilitation from having been on oncology drugs is pretty similar to post-polio. That's the connection that's made there.
Okay.
yeah, and
Okay.
that's what she also has given me all my approvals for
Right.
because I've been in physical therapy now twice a week for the last 6 months. And but she, she really is encouraging me to work on all these things that because I want to be
Right.
I live alone also. Well, not also, but I live alone. So for me to get around is important and be mobile is important. And so I'm trying to work on all of them. But she gave me a referral because Dr. What was his name? Burke, he would not give me a referral for
Dr. Brooke.
another for a new from what I need for my knee and because it's really getting weak. And you can only do so much because our nerves that were affected are not good. You can't exercise your way into it.
Right. I had problems in I just got an aqua therapy and I had problems with my knee in there. I told him I can't do certain exercises, not even in the water, you know. So
Yeah, I do that water aerobics 3 times a week too.
okay.
I do it with buoyancy, with a lot of buoyancy stuff, so it's not hard on my knees and I have to do that.
Right. I
yeah.
do limit it. I do some, but not as it's not as extensive as what they were doing, you know, started out. But this has been my first set since probably back when Dr. Strasser
Yeah.
left, you know, so I'm looking I'll probably go back to the wellness center.
Well, there you go. That's where I go. It's the wellness center.
Okay.
I
Okay.
Wednesday, Friday. But the other thing for people who aren't here, it's not easy to do all this, to do all these things. But the water aerobics is, of course, whatever we all got in common. If we don't move a lot, then we need aerobic something. How do we get our aerobic? Because see, mine, it's right across the hall is the cardiac rehab where I had to do that twice because of the the open heart surgery and all that heart attack. So when I was doing all that, then I got into all of that water aerobics because that gives me aerobic exercise also.
Okay.
I'm not gonna, I
That is
can't go
doing
running
good.
down the street. So where am I gonna get my aerobic exercise? Or that's the other half of it. It's
Where do
physical.
you go, Carol, for the aqua therapy?
Right there at the Wellness Center in Emory, Decatur.
Yep.
Okay.
They have the center, but it depends on your insurance also, how much they'll allow you to take. And I could take 6 lessons. Then they said you have to go on your own. And that, I'm just dealing with all, like you said, Leslie, I'm just dealing with all these different things right now that are
Yeah.
trying to.
So we have to pay to use that pool, or how do you get rights to the pool?
It depends.
Depends on your insurance. I have original Medicare and my the supplement part, I guess that's where it comes through, one or the other. But no, I don't have to pay anything. I've been going there for like 15 years.
See,
Wow.
that's wonderful. Those
to.
instructors are wonderful too over there. They're
Right.
really good. But they said I have to switch to another place that they're allowed to continue. The insurance will, I'm just not working through this.
Did you talk to the lady named Roxy? There's a lady in there. She's in charge of all your insurance and whether you can get approved and the whole thing. And she's my best friend.
Thank you. She'll be mine, Roxy.
Yeah.
She's the nicest lady.
Okay.
She
Do
just,
they have a South Side well care, or do you know if they have a South Side where there's a pool?
I have a list that I can share
Yes.
with all the different locations, both for Emory and this other aquatic therapy program. So
that
I'll
would be
just
wonderful.
Yeah.
send that to you.
Thank you.
There's some X's through it, but that just means that's not where I was going. It doesn't mean that doesn't exist. So I
Okay.
can send that to you.
Yes, thank you. Me too.
Okay. And I
Go
know,
east. Yeah.
Lord, if I going back on my let's see, what is it? Not Prevagen, but what's the other one? That helps you with your memory.
oh,
I need that now.
Is it working? I've been wondering. I hear the ads.
Well, something's working because I stopped for a couple of weeks and it seems like I'm having more of a challenge. So I just got yesterday.
Okay.
Got another one.
Of Prevagen or whatever this other one is.
Nariva.
Nariva.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I got.
I
Nariva.
saw a little thing where Ben Carson has got some kind of mem drug now for that I guess he's doing with Elon Musk, has just invested a bunch in the company.
That's a scary thought.
Oh. I figured he knows. Speaking of autism.
but I don't think he's treated. No, the physical therapist that's doing water physical therapy, she's new there within the last 6 months. And because
But
she,
Carolyn, or
yes, they haven't been there very long.
okay, Carolyn and Jody are the two people that
Because it's set up to do that, but they had to get somebody, I guess you get certification to do it with water.
Yeah.
That's because there's a chair that can take you down in the water.
Yes.
Yeah, the whole
There's
deal.
a gentleman that had to use the chair and
Right, so these are kind of helpful things to know. And if there's other places around, it's a good thing to share with everybody, anything that you're finding. That's why I'm trying to share what I find as I move along. But
definitely. And I had something too. I think I just forgot, Pat.
Okay.
I'll get it to you.
Wesley, and he just left, but he was asking about having more discussion about pain because I guess he's suffering with pain a lot. And we had a bit of that from Maureen's thing that we copied from that doctor. But does anybody have any ideas that we'd want to do a presentation? People could compare notes.
About when you say pain.
Pain. He said he's having pain. Now, me, when I have pain, I stop whatever I'm doing, and I can afford to do that. But
Pain
maybe he-
management. Pain management is a big thing.
yeah,
And when I had pain, I started, and I didn't, I because I have very, very, very sensitive to a lot of drugs. So I have to look for things that isn't medicine. But I started, there's the guy that's right in that same building that somebody just said. Where's it? One Ortho Lane, the spirit, muscle, and skeletal.
Yeah, muscles.
There's a guy in there, Dr. Monferret. And in the old days, he
know
when I
him.
first went to him 10 years ago, he did RFA on me, radio frequency ablation on my spine.
Okay.
well,
And on twice, he did it on one side, and then they let him. I had a fight to get it approved on the other side. I don't
Wow.
know why they think one side isn't enough. But anyway, but it took my pain away for about 6 or 8 years.
wow.
Yeah, it was
I
really
went to
bad.
him too, but it didn't help.
Well, no, sometimes it doesn't. That's what they tell you. And it
Yeah.
does. When he did it, it did. Because they had given me all the epidural, all that other junk that they do.
Yeah,
And
that's what I got.
but he now because I went back to him before I got my back surgery in 2023.
Right.
And when I went back to him, his card says pain management. So it's a wide field. It doesn't mean just drugs. It's all different kinds of things that they use to, depending on like
Yeah.
what you
Right.
have and it's quite something. He's very good though.
We should, can we line him up for November or December or something?
You mean for a speaker? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if he does that kind. I'll write it down.
Well, or anybody in the practice that would want to give us a whole thing on that. would
Yeah, I
be-
went to a pain psychologist also.
Yeah,
Who was dealing with, when there's severe pain.
uh-huh.
And
Well,
that did help. But
I have learned, because I get sometimes severe pain on and off. Start right with distracting yourself. Don't stay with it. Don't think about it. If you just
Yeah.
like what it's like what I did with being tickled on my feet when I had polio.
Right.
Then I blocked my own ability to be tickled, but in my
Right.
brain, I did it with my brain.
mm,
And I was 9 years old, but still that idea of transferring it somewhere else and all of that.
Can we get the psychology person, Carol? Maybe that would describe some of that.
I'll check with her and see. She was very good.
Yeah.
Is anybody dealing with arthritis along with post-polio?
Yeah.
Yeah, another thing.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
hands.
That's arthritis in the hips.
I got a great. If you have hand problems, I got a good surgeon for that.
I know when it's going to rain because
Yes.
I'll start having pain in my back.
And that's diet too. You have to be really careful what you eat so you don't cause your own inflammation.
Yes.
When I eat a lot of sugar in one day, oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Next day I'm not doing well. I can go a long time without that pain, but then if I start to eat the foods that cause inflammation in your body, that's the arthritis stuff. That's what it's like unbelievable how quick it comes back.
Yes.
And right now I'm like, because you slide back into, I love sugar. I like chocolate. I like this. But I know I'm supposed to, but we just do that sometimes. So I had to just say, I have to do something.
I'll
Right?
have fruit all week, for my
Yep.
sweetness. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
on the weekends, I'll have maybe a cookie or some ice cream, just to treat myself. But all during the week when I get those sweet cravings, then
Yep.
I'll just have some fruit.
And my,
Yeah.
son- my honeydew melon right here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So-
also upping the protein. I think when I
Oh,
upped the
we should be-
protein, I didn't crave the sweets so much.
We should
But
get
still,
a
I can only eat, I
nutritionist.
can't just eat one cookie. I have to eat 5 cookies once I start.
I don't
We
buy
need a
cookies.
nutritionist. Can we get a nutritionist to talk to us about inflammation?
Yes, that's a great,
Yeah.
yeah,
With
that's
food?
That's another good one.
nutrition. Somebody I know just got a new one that they like.
Do you have a nutritionist?
I don't.
You
In
know,
fact,
I
I
know
wanted.
somebody, nutritionist and inflammation.
I'm depending on you guys that go to a nutritionist to tell us.
Nancy, if Nancy Winter, if you want,
Yeah.
check out the nutritionist that I've had give a talk. Say he's a wacko or whatever, but usually brilliant people are a little out there. He's
Yeah.
going to do another presentation for me in November, but I have, I don't know, 3 or 4 that you can review and see if you like his presentations. And
Was that Dr. Martin? That did-
yes,
Yeah. I
yeah.
was impressed by that. Yeah.
Does he
Somebody
really
else
do
told me
the-
about it. And she said, why did you get this guy that said not to eat protein? But he was all over the protein, right? That
Oh
was the
yes,
meat,
protein
steak,
is big
bacon.
time.
Yeah.
You
Gotta
well
have
follow him
protein.
every day. I think he's amazing.
Uh-huh.
It used to be, if you go to the National Institute of Health, I don't even know, is it even there anymore? Is it gone?
Yeah. Yeah.
NIH, I know the funding's
there.
been cut, but they had, for a long time ago, they had a calculator. Then you put in your weight
Mhm.
and you multiply your weight times 0.6, decimal 6. So that's 60%. And then that's how many grams of protein you should have a day. That's what they
Oh.
said. So I have a goal
Okay, say that again. It's your weight
of
times
weight
point.
times decimal 6.
Okay.
That, and it's how many grams. So, if you eat something,
Grams of
look on
protein.
every ingredient thing says how many grams of protein.
Yes, right.
There's
Yeah.
usually 8 in a glass of milk, right?
But the milk,
So you can add it up all day. You can see what.
Right. I just try to get the protein in with every meal.
That's right.
Yeah.
I actually try to do every meal,
Absolutely.
but
Yeah.
I didn't have a formula for that.
And it-
You
no,
know what I mean?
But that
And for
that's why
everything else.
I found that out when my grandson was doing cross country, right, running.
Mhm.
And they told him he had to do, he had to do a lot of protein, everything. His coaches were all about nutrition. So he came home one day and he said, so I need to find out how much, I think we got to go over. So we went on and we researched, we found that little thing, but I don't know if it's still there, but that is what it is. It's 0.6 times. If you're
Do I
young,
have to do kilograms or something? I mean, I did my weight by
grams, it's
pounds.
that many grams of protein. So, but see, for a
Mine
young,
comes out 70 grams of protein. That's a
Right.
lot.
it's not that much. If you eat
For
it,
all day,
you eat
not
it,
every meal, for all day, right?
Well,
hey,
maybe.
that's
I
accumulated.
like sardines and canned fish and stuff like that.
Right,
So that
that's-
always has a
too.
lot.
Look at the label. Look at the label. You'll see.
Mhm.
So,
Wow. So I'm
Wait.
not even eating my full quota right now.
it makes you less hungry to eat. Protein
Yeah.
stays with you long, but the younger people in their age, because
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's our age group. You guys are probably younger than me, but our age group needs more, not less. Because the younger people, they only multiply it by decimal 4 instead of decimal 6.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Isn't that interesting?
That's
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah. I didn't learn it because of polio, but I was like fascinated, and then I really started looking at my labels for, am I getting enough?
Mhm.
It's nice we have our own
Absolutely.
science teacher among us.
I am a science teacher.
I
That's
know
why
you
it
are.
fascinates me. Yeah. I keep learning. I love to learn, and that's about
Yeah,
taking,
me too. Mhm.
right? And that's not for male or female, that's for everybody. Everybody should be doing that. All my doctors tell me that, the same thing.
Oh, yeah. I love it. That's why I love reading.
Also,
Let's
they
say-
also say, get in the water. And I go, I'm doing water aerobics. They love me because I do that. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
And the lady that stands in front of me in those classes I go to, the water aerobic, she's 90. She'd been coming for 30, 40 years.
Wow.
she's just, you can see that it works.
Yeah.
Most of them tell me they're in there because of arthritis, because the more you move, the less your arthritis can take over, moving your joints. So
Yeah.
My friend in California has a saltwater swimming pool, and she has invited me to come visit. So I'm planning to visit in September, and I don't know if I'll come back. So
that's tempting.
I know.
It's good. Yeah. Saltwater makes you more buoyant too. Yeah.
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 I found that turmeric helps my pain
There you
and
go.
my
Yeah.
joints. Turmeric.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
understand that
take a
too.
capsule of turmeric every morning.
Do that more. Yeah.
Me,
And
me
turmeric
too.
tea. You have the turmeric tea?
Yeah.
Okay. I have some of that.
You
So
just make turmeric tea with
Mhm.
powder?
No, I take it in a capsule.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
that'd be
okay.
easier. Okay.
I have the tea.
Memory, I take ginkgo biloba.
Oh yeah, I heard that was good too.
Ginkgo biloba.
Yeah,
You
I've
take
been taking it for years.
That's interesting you said that, Nancy Bossiday here. I've been doing turmeric as well. I just use the ground turmeric. I sprinkle it darn near on everything, meat, salad,
So do
whatever
I.
I'm eating. And probably for the past 2 years, I've been doing this consistently. And I realized that no, I am not taking my pain meds anymore.
There
I,
you go.
Wow.
you
That's
know,
a
so
good
I just continue
testimony.
to stick with
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Wow, I can't say that I'm taking it consistently.
But you can for all of those things. You have to. I was just reading another article from the NIH, and it was the longest article I've ever read, and it was all about supplements. But one of the bottom line is don't take it too much. Don't think because you take some that twice as much will be good, because it's not true.
Yeah.
Good point.
You have to really read and do your research, and we're not all the same either, because we're different sizes and weights and everything. But, just really, because well, especially if you're in pain or something like that, you want to take more is not better necessarily.
Well, I know that if you're taking a multivitamin, then I have my what is it, D3 and then calcium.
Okay.
You have to look at all the different things that have those things in it and add them all up.
Yep, that's
Hmm.
it. That's it.
It's like
It's
math
very,
class.
very, very, very. We are going to find out as not we, because but as science is moving along, really zeroing in on what all these things do, how much to have. They're learning some really, and what doesn't have any effect, or what they've really made mistakes with. Saying you should do this, but then they find like 20, 12 years later, after 100,000 people they've studied, and they go, no, doesn't have any effect. So a lot of articles, yeah. So it's interesting, and but it's at least we're paying attention to
Yes.
what we do know at the moment, because but they're learning every day, and it's good. It's good for us, especially because we don't have, we can't just go out to the gym every day. A lot of people coming into that gym over there. Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Takes a lot of energy to get there. That's a whole day's work, like
Yeah.
I do.
And I
That's
just
a good
tired
priority.
easily. I tire out much faster than I used to,
Yeah. Well, I
So,
find those 2 naps, they really do work, I just don't get to that level where I'm falling down. I'll nap first and then I can go all day,
Mm-hmm.
So
You,
that's
you,
a 2 hour.
you learn a lot by talking to people who do go to like the water aerobic stuff. Because if you're standing around talking before the class starts and stuff, some guy just came, he's new with his wife. He came in with his wife to do water aerobics. And in 5 years, he's lost 255 pounds in 5 years.
Wow.
Gradually, that's only 4 pounds a month. Think about that. Nicest couple you ever want to meet. And they're old.
Yeah.
A lot of
Really
people,
nice folks.
Gee, we're old.
yeah, well, we are, but that's not, I was told when I had polio, do not
Oh.
gain a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of effect on your skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
And we already got enough that it has to do. It's going to have problems. They
Yeah,
told
I'm trying to
me
gain
Right.
some weight back, so I know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's hard carrying the extra 20 pounds up the steps. That's
Mm.
I'd have it go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But if you're moving around in Atlanta, trying to do things and get appointments and stuff, we gotta support each other. I'm glad you asked that, Carol. Because I had to
Mhm.
listen, I need to go to a different doctor, period. That's too far for me to go. It's too much. I want a doctor for physical rehabilitation. And I had a physiatrist, but I want this physiatrist because
Mhm.
patient and this person is good for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
That I
I'm
really,
so glad you said that. That really helps.
well, because she kept saying, well, we don't let you go to another doctor. But
And they didn't.
and then I also explained that the polio part, because
Mhm.
we're not somebody that just got injured running around the block last week. That's
Mhm.
not who we are. We are complex. Our problems can be more complex because we've had polio.
Correct.
So if you tell them that, she wrote it all down. She told me, well, wait, I'm going to write this down. I'm going to take it to my supervisor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's how, and this is recently, but within the last 8 months.
Oh.
Because Joe told me about her, right, Joe?
Yep.
Yeah, see, this is what
That's why we talk.
we're passing it on. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah.
did we get access for Dr. Malhotra to our newsletters?
What
I don't-
newsletters?
APPA's newsletters that are on the website.
Oh.
I sent you an email on it. I sent 2 emails on it, and I
You
haven't
sent
heard
to
anything
me?
back. Yeah,
Oh,
to
that's
you.
because my email's not working, but I don't remember getting anything asking me to do something, look at
Well,
something.
that's because your email's not working. So how do we email you?
Use this Gmail address I've got, which is GannyNancy@gmail.com.
I had to change it on my contact too.
Yeah, use that for a while,
You
because
just
until we
get-
move all this equipment over here, I'm sort of limited. I don't know what's wrong.
GANNY.
Yes, like Granny
Ganny.
without the R,
G-
Nancy, GANNY, Nancy, NANCY @gmail.com.
Yeah,
So Ganny Nancy at Gmail. Okay.
yeah.
I also sent it to Barbara Stasis because she's the one that got the request from Dr. Malhotra, and I haven't heard back from her either.
Now I was getting emails. Maybe it's your emails having trouble.
No, because I probably copied myself, so I got a copy of it, so
And
I
you
know it
got a
went out.
copy. Yeah, that's what I'm not sure now. I need the tech support. This is my tech support guy died. So I'm let's see here.
Well,
You know,
I'm
given
gonna-
some time, we'll rally and get it. But in the meantime, I can get the Gmail on my phone.
If somebody wanted to start a little business to be tech support for all of us.
Well, we know a guy that wants to do it, and we just can't get him his schedule. But he retired from the Army, and his job was to move IT equipment from one location to the other. And we thought that's what we need. So, if we can just get him to come and do it, then I'll move our office. I don't know.
Are all of our meetings being posted on the website?
Most of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm still recording this.
Yeah.
Well, okay, should I
This is
stop?
useful information, you know, I wouldn't worry about it.
Yes. Should I stop it yet? When you said that, I realized I hadn't stopped my recording, but that's okay. Yeah,
That's okay, because
Yeah,
I
I
was
got
going to
it.
tell Wesley he had to leave, but he's the one who asked about pain, so you had some answers.
when this is done in about a day, it's on my, it comes back to me on the Zoom thing, comes a
Mhm.
notice, and then
Yeah.
it just says it's ready, and I go copy the link to it and send it to Allison.
And can we
Okay.
get that AI summary to do like it did for the board meeting?
Now that if you ever want an AI summary, tell me. At
That
first,
board meeting summary was incredible, the way it
Yeah.
it got all that stuff.
didn't you think? Again, I sent it out to you because I wanted you to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Was it that was very detailed?
Yeah.
It was, yeah, and listed out at
Said and Leslie said and Joe said it was really. I was like, "Whoop."
and instead it had the tasks at the end, you know, who volunteered for what. It was like laid out, you know.
It was
It was
very.
actually kind of creepy.
It was a little creepy, but that it could sort out our crazy discussions and get it right.
Okay, I'm going to stop this right now that you're saying.